Welcome to our very first podcast, Passage to Your Heart. My name is Davina.
And I am Ericka.
We hope you're all doing well and staying safe out there. We're very excited to start this new journey, I'll call it. And I think the name or the title of our podcast really does explain our intentions to a certain degree, Passage to Your Heart. So I would say, Ericka, both you and I were both very spiritual, not necessarily religious in any sense, but very spiritual, in tune with our hearts and our souls, and just trying to be the best us we can be. So that was kind of the intention behind creating this podcast.
Correct.
Yeah. So we can give you a little background information just so you can get to know us a little more. We met each other, was it in 2011 or
2011.
It was in 2011? So
January 2011.
So Ericka and I worked together at a company, and it just so happens that our offices were right across from each other.
Yes.
And one day I came in and I'm like, oh, who's this new person here? And I don't know if we started talking right away. We didn't, right?
No, you were very quiet. We were very quiet. I think it was kind of awkward because our offices were like really directly. I don't want to say kitty corner, but we could see each other. So if, let's say you have your monitor here and you looked up, I could see Davina and Davina could see me. So it was kind of awkward at moments because I looked up and she looked up at the same time. It's like, I wasn't staring at you, I promise.
And I had to be careful not to pick my nose.
I know, right? Yeah.
There's somebody in front of me. That's right, because the office was empty before.
Yeah. So you could freely do whatever you want before.
Yeah, but I could say it was one of the best things to ever happen to me in my life, because once we got on this topic of spirituality, what was it? Do you remember what it was, the first topic?
I think what it was, I don't know if one of our coworkers mentioned something about ghost, or I don't know, but I think it was a topic about ghost or paranormal or something like that.
Okay.
And you mentioned something and I was like, what? And then you're like, oh, you believe in that? Oh yeah, me too. So then we started talking about it.
Yeah.
And it was
probably the house that I grew up in that was haunted. Or now I
Mm-hmm.
have a totally different concept or idea or knowledge of the home I actually grew up in, which that's a whole podcast on its own. So that'll be in the future. But yeah, so we just realized that we had this spirituality, and I know you and I have both said that. At least I can say 100%. I feel like you're my soul sister. Like, we've known each other forever, and you know, it's just been great to have you in my life. And likewise. I know it's very strange because I think you're one of the people. I have a sister as well. Well, I have many sisters, but one of my sisters in particular. It just feels like when we're together or we're having a conversation, like I really feel like grounded. I'm grounded and I feel at peace, and I just get this feeling of like I know we're both on the same page. Not saying we're better than anybody, not at all, but just we have similar beliefs, and we're on the same wavelength, I guess I want to say.
Yeah, I was saying, and I think what it is because we kind of feed off of each other, and even though on some topics we have different perspectives, but we can entertain the idea of, hey, you think this way, I think that way, and it's just that mutual respect that we go back and forth, aside from the fact that we believe or we think alike with a lot of stuff. But it's just it's one of those things where like you get me, even though you may not agree with me,
Yeah.
or it's a very neutral place. And I
Mhm.
think that's, for both of us, I think that's why we feel so comfortable and we feel so at peace, I guess.
Yeah.
And we can be genuine and
Right.
be ourselves
Right.
100% and
Without
know
feeling
that,
judged or
yes,
and
or kind of like, I don't know how she's going to take this,
yeah.
because it's like open. It's
Yeah.
like,
No
you do
judgment.
you. You're right, 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 right.
Very true. And I think something that really strikes me as being very important for any type of relationship, whether it's a friendship or, a relationship with, a husband or wife or whatever. I think we know that anytime we give like our opinions about something, so
Mm-hmm.
like, and we never offer it unsolicited. We always ask, like, do you want my honest opinion? Or,
Yes.
or you'll say, can you give me your honest opinion? And
Uh-huh.
I'll say the
Mm-hmm.
same. And I know for a fact we don't get offended if,
Mm-hmm.
let's
Mm-hmm.
say, it's not what we want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that our intentions are pure and it's like,
Right.
oh, Erica, she has a good heart and she's not out to like make me feel bad
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
bash me or make me feel,
Mm-hmm.
feel a certain way. So it's like, okay, let me think about this more because obviously I didn't see that point of view.
Yeah,
So it's important to have people like that in your life.
exactly.
I really, really think so because
I agree.
um, sometimes we get stuck in our own mindset and it's like, this is right. What I'm saying or thinking is right. And it's like, well, maybe there's a little more to it.
Yeah, and then on top of it, you have the emotional attachment to things,
Mhm.
the way you
Yeah,
think,
very true.
which is humongous. And
Mhm.
you can't see always clearly because you're so focused and so attached to that outcome or to that whatever it is,
Mhm.
that you don't see that. So it's so important to be able to have that other person that can give you perspective A through Z. And sometimes you don't like what you're hearing, and sometimes you fight back, but
Yeah,
eventually, like, you take it or leave it, and that's why it's so cool.
right, right. And I really like that you push me
Mhm.
outside of my comfort zone. For example, I knew spirituality, or I know spirituality is very important to me in my life.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm at my best if I'm not at least having discussions and conversations that have to do with spirituality, my heart, love, relationships, whatever it may be. But
Mhm.
it all ties back to spirituality because
Right.
I really like um, to stay grounded and stay. That's what makes me feel at peace.
Right.
And we've been to drum circles together, and that's something that, I mean, I may have gone that route anyway, but I felt more comfortable to go with you. I think you had done it first, right? And you're
Right.
like, this
Right.
is amazing, you have to
Yeah.
try it. And then we went, um and I would say it was a very cool experience.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was. I tried. If I guess if I dive a little bit into how I became interested in spirituality, because I grew up just like a lot of people in a background with religion, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
However, once I became an adult and I started questioning certain things, and stuff started happening to me, which I'm sure we're going to get into later. But I started questioning. At first, I was scared because of my background, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And I it didn't make sense. Okay, this is what's going on, but this is what I feel. What is it? How do you call it? So I
Mhm.
started going, and there were some places where when where I was like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know about this. Like, if I think back, and I
Yeah.
had my husband sit outside. I'm like, can you go with me and just sit outside just in case, because you don't know. But I think at the end of the day, when you truly want to find something and seek your truth, whatever that may be, you will go out and try to search it. But yeah, I went by myself, and I was a little hesitant at first because of that experience. The first one or two places I went to, I was like, I'm not sure. But then I found this shamanic circle, and they called it the grotto. It was downtown, and
Mhm.
it was so cozy. It was like in the basement, which sounds freaky, but it wasn't at all. You just had this vibe, and it's so cool. So, so yeah, so it's a journey for sure. That's why our name is so, we relate to it a lot because it is passage to your heart, because it is a path.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, I think it's a never ending growing process. I think
Right.
because
I
you're
agree.
always evolving
I
as you're
agree.
growing. So,
And if somebody said, they're done evolving, I think they just haven't hit their next learning or lesson, as we say.
exactly. Or
Because
they're
we
stuck.
always say, yeah, stuck.
Or they're
Stuck.
stuck there
When we'll get
because
you
they're
out of
not
being stuck when
Mhm.
something happens to you that you're like, why is this happening to me?
Exactly.
So I think that's one thing. It reminds me of what we say, like, oh, this is happening to me. I wonder what the lesson is behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I really like that about us as well. It's like we
Mm-hmm.
don't dwell on the negativity. It's like,
Right.
can I learn? What am I being pushed to look at or expand on, personally? So that I really think that's how I take it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What
it's
have I
nothing.
not resolved within
Yeah,
myself?
what have I not
Uh-huh.
resolved? Mm,
Yeah,
very true.
definitely.
So before we get a little further into this discussion, very
Yes.
interesting. We are going to pull a daily tarot card, or not daily, I'm sorry, a weekly tarot card, each podcast, and it'll be for that week through the following Friday. So Saturday, April 3rd through Friday, the following Friday. And I personally like pulling them on my own. While I do a protection, and then I like to sit on it and meditate on it, and really get the meaning behind, or what I feel comes to me at the time. And I know, Ericka, you have said that you really like my tarot readings. I feel like
Yes, you're so
pretty accurate.
spot on all the time.
Yeah,
You guys are gonna like
I,
it.
I really love tarot cards. Honestly, I really
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
And I feel like I connect to them. There are some people who don't like them. They feel like, um, it just doesn't sit well with them. And
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine. You can get messages any way you feel like they come to you. For me personally, I feel like it's a guide, um, to help me really understand, or it's confirmation too. So a lot of times I'll be thinking something, pull a card, and it's like, exactly, that's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Or also, there are certain messages that may not come through, and it just helps you get the full picture, I would say. So let's start off by doing a quick protection,
Yes.
which is something we always do before we, pull tarot cards, and just daily. I think it's very important to protect yourself
Mhm.
from negative energies, or, possible entities that may, be around. And so I'll take a brief moment, close my eyes. Higher power, guardian angels, spirit guides, please protect me, Ericka, our families, the listeners, and keep negative energies out of our circles, and keep us at peace, help us feel grounded, and guide us to the answers that we may need for this next week. Okay, so the card I had pulled is the Three of Swords. And on the tarot card, it has like a heart in the middle with three swords piercing through the heart. There are
Right.
rain clouds in the background. Yeah, so it's not a very positive card, I would say. But again, everything is for a reason.
Right.
Everything is, to help push you or help you grow. So if I can just give you the meaning behind it, this next week will really be about growth. Speaking about it, just so happens that it means growth is coming.
Yay.
Mhm. Time to get creative. I think the meaning behind that is, so I'll get back to that. So it's a week for possible upsets or disappointments. Um, Maybe you may be feeling lost, um, or unsatisfied. Stress levels may be high, um, or pressure. So whether you work or you're at home, relationships, mean it could be within any of those realms. But what it really means, I think, is it's time for rest.
Hmm.
Rest yourself, ground yourself, do things that make you happy. Because I think what you're going to find is you'll be quick to get upset. So whatever you do for your anger management or to stay grounded, you really want to put that to test, put that in play this week. It does have to do with love, art, relationships. If you're not in a relationship, it could be work related or whatever it may be. But I think a lot of people who are in relationships right now may feel a heaviness on your relationship. So again, work on staying grounded and doing things that make you happy. That way, your stress level is down and you don't have outbursts of anger.
So don't overextend yourself. Give yourself more time than what you would normally.
Right, right. And just make sure that you are doing what makes you happy next week, especially. I mean, you should always do that, but I think it's very important. So, like, if you know going for a hike or, getting your hair done just makes you feel good, I would do that next week because, it's just going to add a little bit of stress relief to you
Mm.
and a little bit of happiness, which is what you need next week.
Perfect. Thank you. And another thing that we're going to do, did we say we were going to do this at the end of the podcast, or are we going to do this in the beginning, at the end, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I have a deck of cards, but it's an angel tarot cards, and they're from Doreen Virtue. But we'll do it at the end, so you'll let me know when you're ready.
Yes. Cool. I love those cards, by the way.
Yes, awesome. They're awesome.
Okay, so if we can continue, what can you recall as being like the aha moment for you, where your curiosity with your own spirituality came into your life?
Well, and I know exactly when. It was actually in 2011. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened that year, actually. We were living in this house, and that was close. Here in town, we have a mountain that's very popular. But anyways, supposedly there's a lot of energy around those because it was a volcanic mountain at one point. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of history in that neighborhood. So so I remember all of a sudden every night I was being waken up by whatever. I don't know if this has happened to anybody, but where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, okay, why am I waking up? Mm-hmm. But and that's happened to me a lot of times. But this time, what happened is in our bedroom, we were facing the closet, and the closet was like from edge to edge. So it was a huge closet. But when I woke up and I saw towards the closet, the wall wasn't there anymore. It was, yeah, it wasn't there anymore. And it looked like, when the sun is setting in that yellow orangey color.
Yes.
I saw a whole bunch of people, I'm going to say. I didn't see them physically like I see you, but I saw their silhouettes. And I know it was people, not people or person, because you could see somewhere standing right behind each other. Mm-hmm. So I could see silhouettes, some were in the front, some were behind them. So from wall to wall, there was a room full of people. in by that wall, but that wall wasn't there anymore. And the reason I was only seeing silhouettes is because whatever light was behind them,
Mm-hmm.
it was shining towards me, but it was like a soft hue. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, the sun is in my eyes. No, it was like the sun was setting, sort of
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Okay.
So that's when I said in the beginning. So at the moment, I was not scared or anything like that. I was just like between awake and asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt this peace, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I fell back asleep. Yet, when I woke up the next morning, I was like, what the hell just happened? And I got scared. And I got scared because I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking, and like I said, I had my background. My when I was a little girl at my mom's house, we used to see or hear stuff, but it was scary. One, we were
Right.
kids. Two, it did not feel like what I was seeing as an adult. And so I got scared. I'm like, is it the same thing? Is it? But it didn't feel like the same thing. So that happened for about 6 months, and I kept them every night. I was being woken up, and I saw the same exact thing, the same exact thing.
Wow.
So I started like, what is this? What's going on? So that's when I started researching, like, what's going on with me? Should I be concerned? Should I? And I started looking, and that's where when I started looking for those circles and trying to
Interesting.
huh?
Interesting enough, you said you were in California.
No, it was here in
Oh, it
Tucson.
was here. Okay.
It was here.
Wow.
So it was here, and so it was very um, so through that process, that's when I started tapping into myself. I started looking
Mhm.
into me and diving in, and from that group of people, I think probably 3 months in, 4 months in.
Mhm.
After that, that at one point I didn't have that group of people anymore. Now there was only three, but they were in the corner, the right corner of the room.
Okay.
And there was two in the back and one in the front, but they were very tall, and I
Mhm.
could gauge how tall they were because there was a door right there to the backyard,
Mhm.
and I could see that they were taller than the frame of the door.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so and once again, the feeling that I was getting was this immense peace and love and just like this comfortableness. It's very difficult to explain unless you've ever come across, because it's something I've never felt before in my life.
Mhm.
So that's what got me started in this journey of
Mhm.
spirituality. Who am I? What do I believe in? Um, what's real for me?
Mhm.
What's out there? You know, all of these questions that I'm not sure if many of you or some of you are asking yourselves, but that's where I started, and I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Mhm.
Um, so I dived into the internet and tried to, and oh my gosh, I found so many things
Oh,
that I
yeah.
was like, yeah, stuff
Some are
that
interesting, some are scary. It's
yeah,
like you really have
mostly
to
scary. So I was
choose
like, oh
carefully.
my gosh, I don't know, I don't want to hear this. So,
Yeah.
so, so yeah, so that's what got me into that journey. And
So, so knowing what you know now,
mhm,
you can think back to that time.
mhm.
Would you say the feeling you got was like that of like a spirit guide or a guardian angel or
I can say that the group of people
hmm,
were, um, I want to say the word heavenly, but I don't think they were angels themselves. You know what I mean? They were just very heightened beings, you
okay.
know? And they were there for positive reasons.
Mm.
And I guess I needed them, all a
Right.
whole bunch of them, because there was a lot at
Okay.
that time. I'm serious. It's like, this
Yeah.
girl needs some help. She's like,
Like this girl's about to
we're
go through
sending,
some things.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're sending everybody. And I'm like, no, but yeah. So, I think it was just for that. But the three in the corner, those had different. Now that I look back, it's like I now I can differentiate the feeling or the energy behind them. So the three were definitely more like important, whatever that may mean. And the
Like
fact that they were so
higher. energy, or
Yes, but
more
very
stronger energy, maybe.
yes, very strong energy, very loving, but very like I want to say paternal. In
Hmm.
if that makes it or maternal, like very parent in the sense that
Okay.
in the sense that that they're extremely loving and in this peace that it's just this immense love and peace. However, it's like you weren't gonna mess with them.
Mhm.
However, you know that it was like sort of like authoritative.
Hmm.
Authoritative, is that a word?
Yeah.
Anyways, like they're very important, like something with power,
Hmm.
something if you want to translate it to some like the way you would see a police officer or the way you would see a military
Okay.
person, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, somebody with that kind of like authority.
Okay.
So
I see.
but it was authority but with love and peace all
Okay.
mixed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like their presence commands respect, or
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
I could. Okay. I
yes,
see that.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, I
Okay.
wish I could have that again. It's like, can you guys come back and visit? I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, mhm,
Well, that's great. And I know another thing that I really love about you is you invest the time
mhm,
required to like do the research and whatever calls you. So like whether it's going to these seminars, or
mhm,
you know even having a phone conversation with someone who you
mhm,
respect, or someone
mhm,
that you um just want more information from. You
mhm,
take the time and you really invest in yourself to do those things
mhm.
that you that you like, that you find interesting, that you feel will uh help you grow.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and honestly, it's because I feel like you are important. It is very important, and if you don't give yourself that time, you're never going to discover
Mhm.
or un unearth whatever it is that's
Mhm.
going on. So I think it's very important. As busy as we are, I know we have families, we have life, but you just have to give yourself that little bit of time. And if you give
Right,
yourself that little bit of time, it makes a world of a difference. And I
right.
think that's the only way for you to be able to grow and get to know yourself even
Mhm.
more, I would say. So that's why I think it's very important.
Yeah. And like for me, um, I love, if you can't tell, I'm in my sauna here, my infrared
Yes.
sauna. I love doing meditation and
Mhm,
listening to like podcasts, or,
mhm,
just spiritual talk
mhm,
while I'm in here,
mhm,
um, under the intense heat. But um, I think that's what I like a lot more, is doing my research, and listening to podcasts, doing
mhm,
investigations. But also too, I know by going and actually feeling the energy, especially if it is a group session. I know it's kind of hard right now with what's going on, the
mhm,
pandemic, but um, you know, I really hope we can get back to the time before pre-pandemic times.
mhm.
And that's something that I'm promising myself that I'm going to do. I am going to invest more in myself,
Yeah.
um, because if I've learned anything from this pandemic, it's that I have to love myself more,
Mhm.
you know. And I think sometimes I get so caught up in my daily routine. I'm a mom. I work long hours. I have a house
Mhm.
to take care of, and it's kind of overwhelming sometimes.
Right.
And that's why I say it's very important to me to remind myself and do things, even if it's a quick meditation, or
Mhm.
while I'm working, put on a podcast in the background.
Right.
Yeah, I notice if I don't do that, I feel out of it. I mean, I
Right.
just feel like I am not living. i'm
Right.
just I'm just, a human who's doing these routine
A robot.
things. Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. That's what I was going to say, but I just said human. But it's true. I feel like it's a boring life, when
Yeah.
you don't look within.
And see, and that's what's I think that's what's so. It doesn't matter. Like you, I have my own way of connecting to myself and growing and doing this. Like I like podcasts as well, but I like listening to all these people, this different people. I like reading. I like going to these seminars when we were able to.
And you and
But
your books.
and then you have your own. You like your sauna. If I tried your sauna, I would die. We've talked about this. I can't. I cannot do
I'm
saunas.
dragging you in here, okay?
Yeah, seriously.
You try.
And that's what's so important. Whatever that looks for you, as long as you give yourself that time, you needed X amount of time. I needed X amount of time. So as long as you're giving yourself that time, that's all that's needed, and it could be 15 minutes, it could be an hour, it can be twice a week, it could be once a month. Whatever that looks for you, as long as you're doing something, is better than nothing. You know what I mean?
I agree. And another thing I wanted to bring up was how for those of you who don't know, I have my bachelor's in psychology from the University of Arizona. And I had a professor, Gary Schwartz, who is like my idol. I love his research. He's doing, a lot of projects on exploring consciousness after death. So, he has all of these studies where he's trying to prove that there is an afterlife, or at least get evidence, whether there is. So I guess the bottom line is they're doing the investigations necessary right now to see whether they can prove there is an afterlife or not. For me personally, I do feel, I know there is an afterlife. Just something quickly I'll share with you. I do receive messages from people who have crossed over. It's not something I want to focus so much on right now, but I know I do get regular messages from people. And, at times I have to shut it off because, like I said, I'm very busy. It's hard. I'm a mom. It's a busy job in itself.
Right.
On top of that, working full time.
Right.
And so I just choose right now to shut it off. But I do get regular communication from my spirit guides, my angels, the higher power from X, Y, and Z people. And to go back to my professor, I remember clearly one thing he said that really stuck with me out of, one of many, many, many things that have stuck with me from him. It's that coincidences are not coincidences. They're too coincidental to be coincidence.
Right.
In other words. And how funny, Ericka, that, the moment you were going through your spiritual journey is the exact moment that I was going through my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And we're right across the hall from each other.
I know, right?
Come on.
You hired me. You pulled me in.
I guess, right?
So when was it for you? How was it for you?
So for me, it was a bit different. Just because now knowing that I, do receive messages from people who have crossed over, from these entities, whatever you want to call them. I also grew up in a home where, I used to say it was haunted. Now I have a different understanding of it. But, growing up as a kid, I know my brothers and sisters, at least a couple of them had the gift as well because, we just grew up terrified in this home. And we call it the Delta House. So if I ever say the Delta House, you guys know what I'm talking about. It was just regular visits from these entities and, waking us up at night. We actually saw things, we would hear things. And, that really got me interested in it. I was terrified, but I was kind of a weird kid in the sense of like things that scared me also interested me. So I guess I'm kind of still that way.
That is a little different.
I guess I'm kind of still that way in a sense because, we went skydiving. So it terrified me, but it interested me at the same time. And all I can say for that is I'm glad they didn't give me the choice to back away while I was up there, because I maybe would have said, I don't want to do this anymore. But once we jumped, it was amazing.
And that's why I stayed grounded. No.
Yeah, you waited for us at the bottom.
Yeah. No way.
So, having those experiences as a child, growing up terrified of these things, it's like that really made me want to investigate, like, what are these, I would say ghosts at the time. What are these entities? What do they want? Like, why can't I see them? Can other people see them? Can other people hear them? Like, what do they want from us? It was that genuine curiosity. I considered myself a protector for my younger sisters, and we all shared a room. There were many of us kids in it. So I have 4 sisters and 1 brother, so 6 kids. Like, you have a big family as well. So, I wanted to make sure that, as we call ourselves lifetime researchers, lifelong researchers, we love learning about these things. Anything that intrigues me, I will investigate until I'm satisfied with the knowledge I have. And that's what really got me going. Now, when I was 10 years old, I couldn't say, "Hey mom, can you take me to a seminar on spirituality?" Or things just weren't the same back then. I would say I can really feel a spirituality shift in the world, which is a great thing. I'm really happy for that, because it makes it's coming to the point where you feel comfortable being who you are and believing in what you are. Like, just like us, we're very respectful for the fact that people are religious. Great, and also we're just because we choose not to follow a certain religion, we also love that we're free to explore our own spirituality. So I really started with reading books.
How old were you? You were 10 at that time.
Yeah, I would say my earliest memory from having like a visit from an entity, I would say was around 9, 10. Yeah, and it was in.
You didn't get any when you were a little girl?
Like, not that I can remember.
No?
No, I can't remember ever feeling anything, or seeing or hearing anything. I would say, maybe I didn't know at the time, or maybe, I'm not sure what the reason behind it is, but I could say right around that sweet spot of 9, 10 is when I really started getting scared. It was a genuine fear. Actually, we felt terrified, I could say, when you don't know until, I think for me, it got to a point where I was exhausted from being terrified. And my family didn't really have, the most money to just say, Mom, Dad, there goes here, let's move. Like, that was not in
the options.
And that was not an option, exactly. It's like, you see what? And go to bed. I'm like, pretty much.
You're like, whatever. Back to bed.
Not saying they weren't loving, but
yeah,
that's just the way it was.
There was different times back then. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And so what did I do? I chose to do my research. I kind of started out not in the best way, I would say. Now looking back, I was really interested in communicating with these spirits, but at the same time, I didn't have the history or the knowledge to look to protect myself. So now looking back, it's like, no wonder I felt so much. Like, I was calling them and not being protected. Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, thank God there were no malicious entities around. We'll save that for another podcast, because I have many, many, many stories about the Delta House that I can share.
You were probably being protected by your guardian angels, because they clearly saw that you didn't know what was going on. I mean, trying to investigate all these things, taking the proper
But, you know, when I was 18, I moved out of that house. And, you know, I can say that especially when I pass by that street, there's just this weird energy connection that I feel to that house. Now, I don't know, you know,
Weird in a bad way or
uh,
weird how?
I would say not in a bad way, but just like you can tell um, that that house has some entities that are strange, I'll
Ah,
say. Um,
okay.
they're not,
They're not of the highest
no,
energy.
not at
Okay.
all. You know,
Okay.
and years later, we found out that our grandparents, they were very Christian into the, you know, the church life. We found out that way back when my mom was even younger, they would do exorcisms there in the house. So
So
it
maybe
was
that left something open.
you know, and I don't know the full story. That's the only thing they told me. It was like, well, no wonder. It was that same home, you know, and I just feel like it gives me kind of an uneasy feeling.
Right. Right.
Like now I know that I I have the power against anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we know nothing can harm you if you're fully protected. So
Correct.
um but I could say with all of that, you know, in the past, doing all of the investigations, really being interested in entities and communicating and what do you want and, you know, doing all of that stuff. In 2011, when I met you, I was going through a spiritual soul searching journey, I could say.
So how
For a
long had that
person.
passed from you moving out at 18 into 2011? Because you were very young when you started working there. I
Yeah.
know that. So how long is that gap, I
Well,
guess?
let's see, 18, 28. Oh my gosh, I can't even do math right now. Let's see. If I was born 85 to 2011.
You're asking the wrong person, my friend.
So let's see. It was in 2011 and we are in 21, so it's 10 years ago. So I was 24.
24.
24. Yes, I was 24. The math was a lot easier
Oh,
than it
so you had been on your own for 6 years out of the Delta
out
house.
of
Okay.
out of the Delta.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, I'll share with the
Mm-hmm.
listeners. I was going through a very difficult breakup at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was not a good situation. But now looking back, it's like I had so much to learn that I was not going to learn in that relationship. So
Yeah.
it was a blessing in disguise, you
Yeah.
know. And I just feel like in that relationship, I wasn't fully able to be myself. Like
Mm.
I was very suppressed, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was my first love,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I didn't know any better. I thought this is how things were, you know, and this is just the way things go in a relationship. Now I know completely, you know, different than that.
Mm-hmm.
But that really made me want to learn, who am I? What
Right.
am I interested in? What, you know, what am I meant to do here in life?
Mm-hmm.
I think is
Mm-hmm.
like the main question. I think like, what is my purpose here? You know, and that's when I met you. And through our conversations, it's really helped guide me
Mm-hmm.
through my own mind and through my own, how can I say it? Like, you bring up topics that are interesting that force me to think outside of the box, or maybe it's a new topic that I never thought to think of.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think it's funny to, to bring up that we would have these long, intense conversations at lunchtime.
Yes, it's so true.
Yeah,
It's so
and
true.
you know, looking back, it's kind of funny because I know at times, like we're very vocal, we're very, you know, high energy girls, I would say, or women, and
Loud. It's okay. We can say loud.
we're very loud.
Especially
And
me.
And I wonder if I mean, they have to have heard us in the conversations, but um, I just think that that was funny to bring up that, we would have these long conversations at lunch, and it's like, I don't want to go back from lunch.
And I
Um,
wonder, we were so stuck in what we were, or we were so entranced in our own conversations that I don't think I ever like paid attention to who was around us.
no,
It would have been interesting to see like, okay, who's listening, to see if they were even listening to our conversation,
yeah.
and
I
be
mean,
like, okay, these girls
the good thing is, I know we would go to lunch a little later, so
right.
you're right. I don't recall if I don't
I
know
don't
if there
think
were
there
a
was a
lot of
lot of
people.
people around us. I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they would scatter. Like, oh, here comes those girls again. I don't have time to
Time for
listen
a
to this.
sleep. Yeah, yeah.
So, but there were a few people, a couple people at work who were interested in, spirituality and some the paranormal, which paranormal, it really does interest me as well.
Hmm.
Topics such as Bigfoot, or even if I may not believe them 100%, but
Hmm.
it's it's an interesting topic, and I never say it's not possible at all, because you never know.
The
You never
idea of the
know.
possibilities
Yeah.
that's out there. Hmm.
Alternate universes very interests me a lot. Astral projection. And I
Hmm.
don't know if you remember me talking, bringing up this subject one time about walk-in souls.
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't fully explain what it was at the time, so I would be interesting maybe a later podcast to go through that, because for some reason it's something that always like stays in my mind, that I didn't explain it to her, like what it means, but um it's something that I feel a little connected to, because let me explain. So a walk-in soul is, if the theory is, or what people believe is, that some people go through traumatic situations in life,
Hmm. Hmm.
so traumatic, that either one, they want to take themselves out of this life, or
Hmm.
two, it may not be the best situation for them
Hmm.
this lifetime.
Hmm.
uh, so, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but what people say is that there are walk-in souls.
Hmm.
So at a certain point in your life,
Hmm.
this other soul
Hmm.
into your body,
Hmm.
and of course, you still have your memories, or somewhat of your memories.
Right.
Uh, you know who you are, your family, stuff like that. Um, the basics of your life, and that soul continues your journey for you.
Right.
Now, I'm a little interested in that, just because around the age of 15, I would say 14, no, 15, I would say
Mm.
15.
Uh-huh.
I was just very unhappy with, my family environment, my home life. And something interesting happened to me. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but
I don't know, I have a little,
did.
yeah, I have a little glimpse. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I
I think
remember.
so. Yeah, yeah.
I
Hmm.
just mentally went back to the moment at lunch.
Yeah.
Making sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I had this moment where, I just was pleading to God, or the higher power, like, please just make things different. Just make things different for me. Like,
Mhm.
and I would say that I was always an old soul, kind of like
Mhm.
you. Like
Mhm.
when I was younger, I was very mature,
Mhm.
or, somebody of my age.
Mhm.
I didn't really connect with people my age, I would
Mhm.
say. Yeah, I had friends. Yeah, I had conversations. But at the end of the day, it's like it didn't fulfill me or stimulate me in my
Mhm.
mind, the way normal relationships or with people would. Like,
Right.
I always felt like, okay, yeah, I can entertain this. I'm at school. These are my peers. These are, people I hang out with. But at the end of the day, there was always something like missing, I
Yeah.
guess. Maybe
It
I just
wasn't who
didn't
you
have.
truly were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deep
Maybe
down
if we were
inside.
in school together, it would be like, oh, this is my bestie,
Yeah. Yeah.
time. But so anyway, I was at that moment where it was like, either take me or help me, is really what it was. It was like a crossroad, like, take me or help me out
Yeah.
of this situation. And the strangest thing happened to me at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that, I was standing outside on our back porch, and of course I was crying, bawling, and felt full of emotion. And at that very moment, like all of my emotion just came out of my body. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like blank, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that was followed by I could feel somebody hugging me. And it was like, okay, it's going to be okay. And I just remember like closing my eyes and feeling like, yeah, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And one thing I can tell you is after that day, I really had a mental shift. So, an interesting point to make is when it comes to my young childhood,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have many memories. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't have many memories of like my childhood. I
Mm-hmm.
can't recall many. Yeah, of course, there are those big moments that, if I think on it, I'll
Yeah.
remember. Or
Yeah.
even like my brother or my sisters will say, "Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember this person?" And I may have hung out with them so many times, and I can't remember that person
Mm-hmm.
until I see a photo of them. Or it's even happened where a year later, I
Mm-hmm.
suddenly remember the conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that person. Like it's not normal the way I remember my past. So
Yeah.
that's why I think I entertained that.
Well, from my understanding, because we've talked about this, and I think it was that topic that brought it up. But from my understanding, the whole what is it called again?
Walking soul.
Walk-in souls.
Yeah.
I call it the soul shift. I don't know why,
Soul
but
shift.
okay.
Oh, I like that
So,
too. That would have
so
been a good podcast name.
I know, right?
Soul shift.
So, that's true.
Yeah.
So the way is when a walk-in comes in, it's this way. It's a complete different person in even personality. So let's say you were a very, I don't know, serious person, blah 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 blah. But then when the walking soul comes in, it's like a totally different person. It's like swapping me with you, or vice versa. Total. You could sing, I can't. You
Oh,
you um
you
you
can dance? I can't.
you like to dress a certain way. I like to dress differently. So it changes everything. Is it possible that yes, you entertain it because it was such a big shift? Is it possible that it's sort of like what happened to me where you got like a hug from an angel or like something very loving to the point that it caused you to shift in that moment? You know what I mean? It paused your brain. It like kind of said like, hey,
Yeah.
you had, in other words, divine intervention. I know they use it a
That
lot, but
that's what I have thought of it in the past.
yeah.
You know.
But that's awesome. It's sort of like I see it, or maybe possibly like when people when they have the near death experience
Yeah.
and then they come back. Maybe that's something. I mean, you didn't go to that extent, but you know, but maybe that's something like that. Because the same thing happens to me. And honestly, if I think back, like I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And I think because we grew up in these big family dynamics and because it wasn't the best. I mean, if I think back of my childhood, um, because we were so many kids, we did have fun. I don't remember sadness or whatever, but there was sadness and these things. So I think us as kids, we block all these things to protect ourselves, and
Yeah.
we don't even realize it. But I totally get, because I'm in the same boat where it's like that's so strange that I don't remember anything
Yeah.
from my
Yeah.
childhood. I
It
don't.
really, it scares me
Not
sometimes.
even
Like, am I gonna
school.
have dementia when I'm older? Like, is this an early sign that it's like
I don't
I can't
think
even tap
so.
into these memories? But you're right. I see what you mean. I see
Mm,
what you mean. It's like that's your brain's natural reaction to protecting yourself.
right.
Otherwise, you may have this episode of
Mental breakdown when you're
yeah,
a
mental
kid.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Very
remember
true.
even school? Do you remember school stuff like events like here
You
and
know,
there?
of course, I remember like the Halloween parades and this and that, but I never remember like who did I hang out with in elementary. I don't know.
You know that
I
I don't.
seriously don't know. There may be a couple years, like when I was, in fifth grade, that I
Yeah,
remember,
yeah,
scattered
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
But like,
yeah,
I don't remember these things.
yeah.
Like, who did I hang out with? I don't know.
I was a loner.
Maybe I
For all I
was.
know.
Maybe I was, and that's why I'm blocking it out. It's like nobody wanted to hang out with you, and you know, you
You're
sat
like,
in
I
the
had a
bathroom by
bunch of
yourself.
friends. Stop making it up.
The angels were my friends, okay? So yeah, I see what you mean, and I think, I mean, if I feel the energy towards both options, I
Mhm.
wouldn't go with walk-in. I would go with it was an angel there, or divine intervention, like you said. It's like they're really saying like, hey, wake up, girl. Like this is just the beginning. I promise you, things are going to get better. You know, and it's just amazing how I had that shift. Like from one day to the next, it's like that's true.
I wonder if there's any temporary walk-ins. I'm gonna jot it down because maybe we can talk about this one
Yeah,
time.
I like that. Okay. Temporary walk-ins.
I wonder.
Yeah, and I remember from that moment, especially with conversations that I had from my dad, it's like it was from that moment on, it was like, you know what? I am not necessarily going to be somebody, but I am going to, really work hard so that, I can be financially stable, so that I can um live my best life, and I don't have to be dependent on anything. I can make my own choices. I can, I mean, that may have had something to do with my unhappiness. My parents were very strict, very, very strict. Like my dad made the rules, whatever he said went, no ifs, ands, or buts. And with me, I would say he was the most strict. So I couldn't go out to the movies with my friends. I couldn't really do anything with my friends
Mhm.
until unfortunately, he passed away when I was 17. But it wasn't until he passed away that I really started experiencing, friendships and life.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, no wonder I was miserable. It's like I had nobody to lean on, you know?
You were being suppressed
Yeah, yeah,
in a way. Mhm.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
true. Which honestly makes sense why then I jumped to a relationship where I was suppressed,
Mhm. Mhm.
immediately. And it's like I really didn't start getting to know myself until 2011. That's when I was really like, who am I? Like seriously, I didn't know what I liked. It was always about pleasing somebody else. About yes, I did have that mentality of like, okay, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna go to school. That's something I always knew that I wanted.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to go to school for psychology and get my degree. And I knew I wanted to not depend on my parents early on. So I
Mhm.
started working right when I turned 16,
Mhm.
and just was able to buy my own car, was able to buy my own furniture, was able to move out right when I turned 18. And, so independent in that sense.
Right.
The only thing is I got into a relationship that suppressed me. So,
Mhm.
it was kind of like the battling there. It's like I wanted to be myself, but I
Mhm.
went to what I was familiar with.
Well, because you were very young still,
Yeah.
and it's funny how for all of us, it happens a certain way. I mean, you were in that relationship and you went through that hard breakup
Hmm.
that kind of made you question things.
Hmm.
I was going through, what was I going through at that time? I was just like, what was life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was questioning me, like, okay, is this it? Is it there not more? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And so it's funny how each of us there's a trigger,
Hmm.
and unfortunately it seems like it's something either it's never like, oh, I have a happy life, let me start investigating on my, it
Yeah.
has to be something that pushes you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's something really really hard, and sometimes it's a little bit of hard, but that's what
Very true.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
very,
gets,
very. Hmm.
that's what catches your attention, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
for you, I could see, like, you met your husband very young.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys 18?
16.
You were 16 when you met.
Actually, 15. 15.
Wow,
Yeah, we
15.
were 15.
15 when you met, ended up getting married at 19?
20.
20. 20. But you were already together for that long time.
Right.
So you didn't have the journey of, the love, um, how could you say it? Like, love trials, or, you didn't have those battles for on the
Right.
love side. So
Right.
then you came, into your own, and then in 2011 you had that, moment where you're like, what am I here
Yeah.
for?
And see, the funny thing is, even though I didn't have, or I skipped those
Hmm.
battles or trials, like love trials, um, even you still, life still happens. And it's funny
Hmm.
because you still grow as individuals in a relationship, and you grow to be somebody different. And
That's true.
then you have to, and then there's those, even though it's in the same relationship, it's
Yeah.
that growth that, like, okay, now we're this old, because you grow, you keep on growing as you're
Mhm.
getting older, and you start thinking differently, and you
Yeah.
do change. I'm not the same person I was when I
Yeah.
was 15
Oh no. Mm-mm.
or 25 or
Yeah.
30, so
Very true.
it's just in evolution. So even though, at least this is what has been with me in my life, is even though I'm in the same relationship, it seems like it's a little bit of a different person as you're growing up, because things happen. Life happens.
Right.
There's job changes, there's personality changes,
Mhm.
there's, now I like this, now I like that,
Yeah.
and with us, or at least me, that on my lifetime journey, or what do you call this, lifetime researchers?
Lifetime researchers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always, I just tend, that's who I am. I
Yeah.
love to learn, I like to grow.
Yeah.
It's something, if I'm not striving to be a better me, I don't feel fulfilled, or I don't feel
Right. One hundred
it's,
percent.
and it's not,
I
it's
don't feel
just
happy.
like, no, yeah, it's because it's like, it's just that's just part of who I am.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to find the genuine me, which is kind of funny, because it's like I'm always the genuine me, but I'm evolving and searching always.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm not content with what I have.
Yeah.
It just means that I know there's more. Like, what else is out there,
And it's very true. Your as we grow, and
Mhm.
as we do internal checks, or
Mhm.
um learning what we like and what we
Mhm.
don't like, I do find that my interests, my desires have changed with
They
time.
shift, right?
They shift. So then it's like, it goes to the question of, is your partner willing to mold with you? Not even mold with you, because you should always be yourself, but you know is this the best environment
Mhm.
for you
Mhm.
both?
Mhm.
Then those
Mhm.
those questions start coming to play. I say that just because I remember at one time, I think I even mentioned to you, like, I like masculinity. That's what I'm attracted to, these
Mhm.
masculine energies. And I don't think I could be with anybody who's not masculine.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
I still feel that in a certain way. I do
Mhm.
like the masculine energy, but I also have learned that I like a little bit of femininity, in the sense that they're not afraid to open up and speak
Right.
from their
Right.
heart,
Right.
you know. And I honestly feel that level of masculinity that
Mhm.
I was used to, or that I thought I liked at the time, I feel like I'm no longer at that place. Like,
Yeah.
I can't be with somebody who's too masculine, because I've noticed, like, we've had discussions too. I don't know if anybody follows astrology out there, but I'm a Libra, and it's a masculine sign. Um, and I know I do have masculine tendencies. Now, I'm not saying that I, act male. It's very different than that. It's just, there's a masculine energy, meaning, I like to take charge. I
Yeah.
like to make certain
Mhm.
decisions to a certain point, because I am a Libra, so I'm indecisive. But, I like to have my voice in
Right.
a relationship. And when I don't have that, I'm not happy.
Right.
The topic of masculinity versus femininity, it's something we've had many conversations about.
Conversations.
And I
Right.
would love to have a podcast on its own because, one thing that I found interesting was, how being a mother could be masculine.
It is.
So it's like a total mind
It's
shift. You have to shift your mind and say, no, it's not saying, a man per se. It's the energy behind it that's
exactly.
masculine, feminine. So there are certain attributes that are, for everything pretty much. It's
Yeah.
like, and
Especially in like in nowadays, we're being pulled so many different ways that I can see how it can be very difficult because
right.
you have to put different hats on:
Hmm.
work, mom, wife, house. So I think that on its own is like a conversation that I think we can have.
Right.
And really, because it is difficult to
Right.
shift back and forth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've been chatting for quite some time now. I hope you all like hearing about us. That won't be the end of us sharing our experiences at all. We will be talking about subjects like we just did: masculinity, femininity, walk-ins, many, many subjects. So at this time, Erica, you'll be so kind to pull an angel card just to give us a little bit of spirituality before we head out.
Sure will. I don't know if you guys saw me, but I was shuffling the cards in the beginning of our podcast, and to get the energy of what we all needed to hear. And what I got was the Emperor, Archangel Michael. And I wish I can show it to you guys because it's actually pretty cool. However, I don't think it shows very
Oh,
well.
right there, right there.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
pretty
wow,
cool.
that's beautiful.
It is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So it has all these it's an angel, a
Mm-hmm.
very buff angel, by the way, with long blonde hair, and it says, in a sword, and it says, um, organization and logic, structure and discipline, leadership. That's what we have to focus on. And also, it comes with this book, and it gives you like a more in-depth definition of what it is.
Okay.
And it says, it's important to cultivate logic, discipline, and order right now. This card signifies that although your dreams are valid and sound, they still need guidelines and organization so that they can manifest properly. Create a detailed plan for how you'll proceed and maintain kind but authoritative control over how that plan is implemented. Feel empowered to take a leadership role in your career and any project you're working on. Structure and order are your friends as you move from the preparation stage into the execution of your plans. Believe in your ability to be positive and diplomatic leader. Get organized so that you can be more effective. Additional meanings of this card is the desire to be a success, stability, making wise choices, security, government agencies, law enforcement, the respect of others, fatherhood.
Okay.
And it says Archangel Michael is the angel of strength and protection who oversees everyone's life's purpose. Call upon Michael for courage and strength as you make important and necessary life changes. He can also help you focus your logic and mind and left brain talents upon your projects. So I think it kind of goes a little bit with your card that you
That's what I
pulled,
was
I
saying.
think.
I was just thinking that I was connecting the two by thinking, okay, don't just jump to things. It's like take a
Exactly. It's
minute,
like take
think
your
about the
time.
bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
About the
Mm-hmm.
bigger picture. Let's just say you're angry and you, I don't know, throw something away. Later down the road, will you need that thing? And you were just acting on an impulse.
Exactly.
It's like really plan and think about what you're doing. And
Exactly.
honestly, thank you for that because now we know if when we do our meditations, we can call upon Archangel Michael
Exactly.
to help guide us.
Yes, he
Okay,
will.
good to
Yep.
know.
Yes.
Okay, everybody. We really hope you like this podcast. Look for us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We're Passage to Your Heart. and we'll upload all of this video, and we hope you can join us next week as well. This is going to be something that we're going to go, weekly. We'll post weekly, and we just hope you like hearing about our journeys and things we've learned over the years, and we hope that it helps you in
Mm-hmm.
your journey in life. And Thank you very much. Share us if you like us. If you know of anybody who is going on their spiritual journey as well, who may find it interesting, share us. And we hope to see you
Next week.